So here we go. It's time for the EBC Brakes Superbike race number 1 from Sonoma Raceway. Clutches are out and a good launch from Beaubier. And it's Tony Elias, though, who will take the whole shot as he sends it on up the hill.
Look at Josh Herron.
Oh!
Josh Herron crashes going into turn 4 right off the start, Greg, and takes somebody with him. Cameron's going to just try to stuff it right up underneath him. Can he get it stopped, Greg? That's the question.
Oh, no!
Man!
Cameron Beaubier asked too much of that tire, and down he goes. Trail braking into that corner, and now he's going to hang out with Josh Herron. What a move by Garrett Gerloff on the inside as Tony Elias decided to leave the door open. Gerloff just snuck it in there. Foot down to the checkered flag will take his second EBC Brakes Superbike victory in a row, the second of his career. Standing up. The moment has arrived for the Cycle Gear Championship of Sonoma. Welcome to the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship, round 7 of 10 for 2019 from Sonoma Raceway in beautiful, picturesque Northern California's Sonoma Valley. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Greg White, standing alongside Jason Pridmore, who's won 2 world titles in his racing career. Now, Jason, here we are, day 2 at Sonoma Raceway, getting ready for the EBC Brakes Superbike race. Yesterday was a strange one, wasn't it?
It was very interesting, but it is the one that blew the championship wide open. Cameron Beaubier here at Sonoma has been pretty much untouchable. He took a shot at Tony on the second lap in turn 4, and it went bad for him, and now it's given Tony a big points lead, but Garrett Gerloff goes on and wins race number 2.
It was a dominating performance from Garrett Gerloff. Why don't we take a look at race 1 highlights? Here's how it unfolded.
At the start of race 1, Cameron Beaubier lined himself up to try to get the whole shot, but Tony Elias swept around from that 3rd spot on the grid to lead him up into turn 1. On the run, down to turn 4 on the first lap, Josh Herron made a bold bid to try to take 4th place away from Jake Lewis, only to lose the front and take Jake with him, and that was the end of both their races. A lap later, as they came up over that same section, Cameron Beaubier made his bid for the lead, but lost the front as well, and with it, 25 crucial championship points. At that point now, his teammate Garrett Gerloff, fresh off of his victory at Laguna Seca, slid up underneath Tony Elias as they went down into the carousel, and from this point on, tried to just put smooth, consistent, fast laps together, which is exactly what he did. In Monterey, we saw this young man take his first victory, and not just that, we saw a brilliant ride at the front with consistent lap times and fast pace. At Sonoma, he did the same thing and cruised home to a 10-second victory.
Unbelievable for Garrett Gerloff. 2 wins in a row. That's the way you do it when you just start off your win streak. Here are the results with Garrett Gerloff on top, Tony Elias and Matthew Skoltz in 3rd. The lack of Cameron Beaubier's name is really the story in this one. JD Beach and Jake Gagne, 4th and 5th. Riders are lining up, so when we return, Hannah's Grid Walk. Don't go anywhere. Beautiful Sonoma County, wine country. Northern California hot spot for people to come on a weekend vacation. Sonoma Raceway right in the middle of it all. It is a fantastic weekend. The sun has been shining. A nice gentle breeze today. The stage is set for perfect conditions for racing. Welcome to the Cycle Gear Championship of Sonoma. Let's take a look at the starting grid, Jason Pridmore, because the start's really important here at Sonoma Raceway. Cameron Beaubier, your pole sitter. Garrett Gerloff in 2nd. Tony Elias in the 3rd place position. And then you have Matthew Skoltz, Jake Lewis, and David Anthony, who he was just thrashing to get his bike back together from yesterday.
Yeah, and I didn't get to see that much of warm-up this morning, so I wasn't sure how David went, but that's a tremendous effort from him. Josh Herron, Jake Gagne, JD Beach going to round out row 3. JD finished in 4th yesterday. Kyle Wyman, Cameron Peterson, and Jeremy Coffey. They got his bike back together as well, so he's going to be starting outside row 4. Then we got Max Flinders and Sam Bertorico in row 5.
So the note about the number 11, Matthew Skoltz in the Westby Racing Yamaha, is the rules in MotoAmerica kind of read this way. You have to start, it's a 1-bike rule. So you're allowed to get one bike through tech inspection, and that's the bike that you need to ride all weekend unless you go declare that that bike has been totaled. And so with the Skoltz team, that's what happened. They started this morning on the B bike, and then that got totaled, so they went back to the A bike and had to put that thing together. So it's been a little complicated, but MotoAmerica, race control has been on top of it. So the motorcycle that Matthew Skoltz is on is the motorcycle that he actually started on
originally. Yeah, originally.
You can figure that one
That's
out.
been a rough weekend. I'm just looking there. It looked like Tony had a little bit of drama, something going on with one of his crew members. He was talking to them at length. Everybody else had cleared the grid, and Tony was still talking, so I'm not sure what was going on. So we'll keep an eye on this warm-up lap, see what's going on. But you had Matthew this weekend just had, unfortunately, but fortunately, I drove him in this morning after his incident, and obviously he was pretty dejected. He was really bummed because he appreciates what his team does for him, and all those guys, like we've said over the years, are our family down there, that whole team and Westby team. So he felt bad that he gave them more work this morning. But now he's out there and he's really feeling this bike out when you think about it, Greg. And that happened just, a couple hours ago. And now he's kind of on a bike he hasn't got to do a lot of laps on. So even this warm-up lap is so important just to see if you can get some sort of feel, make sure everything's okay.
Yeah, I think really for the Westby team, shooting at a podium is always great, but a top 5 finish for the number 11 is going to be what they were looking for to get out of here. This guy, Garrett Gerloff, has been absolutely on fire. We've talked about him at length. He's on an incredible podium streak. He hasn't been off the podium since round 5. This is a race number 5. This is race 14 for Garrett Gerloff, Jason. And, he's won 2 in a row. As for this guy, Tony Elias, yesterday finishing 10 seconds behind the leader. It was a struggle. He started to cramp up. He was putting so much effort on the bike. The team went back and made all kinds of changes. But he did change the front tire. All right, let's get to Hannah, who has our Cycle Gear last-minute report.
Yeah, Greg, like you said, Tony did make a decision to change that front tire today, so hopefully that'll help him stay up front or close the gap if he's having to chase someone down today. So he went from that super soft front tire to the extra soft today, a little harder compound to maybe get some more front-end feel. So keep an eye out on him today.
Okay, Hannah, thanks for that. And also, I think the word is that the track conditions, it was really warm at race time yesterday,
yeah.
Jason, and that was playing a little bit of a factor into it as well. So Tony Elias with that compound change, like Hannah said, and we'll see if it's going to be able to get him the distance of this race.
Yep. And we're going to see what this guy can do. Cameron Beaubier is just dying for a win here, especially. I feel like he's had 3 pretty frustrating races in a row. We don't get to see Cameron frustrated very often.
Cameron made a tire change too, by the way.
It's all going to be off the start, and you can see Tony's ready to go. All these guys are ready to go, but it's a matter of getting this jump.
Superbike race number 2, EBC Brakes Superbike, and Cameron Beaubier, a good launch, but it's Tony Elias trying to find some room around the outside.
Cameron needs to just... Oh, there he goes. He's got it, Greg. He should just go right to the inside, going up into turn 2, which he does. Cameron's got the start that he wanted. Now he's got to get his head down.
For Tony Elias, this moment right here is an uh-oh moment. He wanted to control the pace for the first 5 laps. He told me, didn't want to let Cameron get out there. He told me, Tony Elias, he said if Cameron got out front, he thinks that Cameron could have won this race by 30 seconds or more.
Well, it looks like that already. I think this is a lot bigger uh-oh moment if it was race 1. Race 2 yesterday, or race 1 yesterday, Tony just hauled away 20 points and increased his championship. Now it's a matter of, okay, let's get into damage control mode. Look at Cameron Beaubier go right off the start, Greg. It's almost a second or more as they head up into turn 7, going up there. Now all of our riders have got through the carousel and stuff cleanly this time, which I like to see. Matthew Skoltz, there he is, Greg. He's, 6th place, 5th place?
5th place.
Yep, 5th place behind Jake Lewis.
Jake Lewis,
4th place, just where he started off yesterday. This is a good shot in the arm for him and that team. He's going to get his eyes forward and try to go with those 3 bikes in front of him.
In a few laps for the M4XR Suzuki team, it's going to be uncharted territory. A brand new tank that team arrived at this race with, Jason. And it's a tank that moves the center of mass closer to the middle of the bike and down a little ways. And so that's exactly what they wanted, an improvement on the GSXR 1000 in race trim, in Superbike race trim. Here's Cameron Beaubier on the Monster Energy Yamaha factory racing machine.
I think if anything, Tony closed that gap down the last half of the lap. It's all this little area that Cameron, the top part of the track, Cameron was awful fast on that start. And there's a view out the back of Tony Elias's bike, and you can see back there Garrett Gerloff, our winner from yesterday, and Jake Lewis is going with Garrett.
Now keep in mind the capacity of fuel for these 22 laps. It does have an effect on the motorcycle. In my conversation this morning with Tony Elias, we talked about that. You know, I said, Tony, is it fair to say the fuel load and the bike feels better? He says, definitely. It's still a factor. As the race wears on and the fuel load lightens up, it feels better. But also for Tony Jason, he said he likes it when the tires start to go off. It allows him to get the motorcycle turned with the rear end of the motorcycle
Move
better.
the thing around a little bit. You can throttle control the bike a little bit more mid-corner out. So, yeah, and he was coming into this turn 7. I was out there again this morning for first lap, and he just runs it off in there. I think it's a way of him to test himself. Look at this little, who we got? Is that that's Jake Lewis.
Oh, no.
Jake Lewis is tipped off in turn 7. I saw the yellow helmet for a minute.
Yeah.
Then I saw the size, and I'm like, it's definitely not Tony. It was Jake Lewis.
Out of 4th place, the M4X Star Suzuki rider crashes out in what could have been his best finish. It's early days for sure, but Jake Lewis was in a really good spot as they were pulling away from this pack. So we'll see if he can get that bike going again.
This is the fight for 4th right now between Skoltz, Josh Herron, JD Beach, and Jake Gagne. Jake Gagne was having trouble getting his bike started on the siding lap, but they got that thing fired up. And Jake Gagne is running right there where we kind of expect him to be in that group that he's in there.
Talking to Steve Scheibe, who is the team owner of that BMW that Jake Gagne is on, he told me today that, you know, they don't have anyone on that team on a BMW and Superbike, so they've got to spend a lot of time looking at data to get that bike dialed in. Lewis back out on track. We'll see if he's going to continue or pull it into the pits.
Yep.
So he's got that GSX-R 1000 rolling. Matthew Skoltz, Westby Racing, 4th place, just ahead of Josh Herron, number 2, and JD Beach, number 95. JD coming off of a ridiculous week of racing. Ridiculous.
Yeah,
2 flat track, different disciplines, TT, half mile, and now Superbike road racing. Kid's got to be worn out a little bit.
And they had that flat track midweek, so I think it was Saturday that they did the TT.
Then Tuesday.
Tuesday, wasn't it, that they did the half mile, and then he's here doing the Superbike. And, yeah, so a busy week for him.
Looking at Westby Racing, that's that gold and black motorcycle, number 11, South African Matthew Skoltz on the podium yesterday. Oh, Skoltzy getting all kinds of crazy under acceleration.
I'm sure Matthew's ridden with a little sense of carefulness in his first couple of laps. As they come down into turn 9, Josh Herron was looking like he wanted to take a shot at him. Matthew's bike looks a little bit loose, but once Matthew kind of gets used to that, once he gets used to the feel, I'm looking at somebody's bike here, Greg.
That's on board. That's Tony.
Is that Tony Elias?
Tony Elias,
wow.
Our championship points leader.
You know, when they were coming in here, I heard something scraping, and I didn't know what it was, but that's Tony in turn 7.
So Tony Elias with a big chance. He was 1 second behind Cameron Beaubier. Let's take a look at the replay and see what happened, Jay.
This is going to be coming out of the carousel. You see Garrett Gerloff has closed up a little bit, and as well, Tony had closed up that half track, the last half of the track on the first lap. This is where he's been testing himself all weekend going in here. I've seen him run wide there so many times, but you're going to see he just loses the front, Greg. Loses the front, probably broke a handlebar off or did something to where he couldn't get the bike picked back up, and you can see how aggravated he is. This is, I tell you, this is just giving Cameron and both these Yamaha guys a bunch of points. 25 and 20, it's 45 points he's handed back to the Yamaha today.
Welcome back to EBC Brakes Superbikes.
The battle again for 3rd spot. Josh Herron having a look at Matthew Skoltz. He's not quite close enough as he goes up into turn 11. Josh thinks the better of it.
So Matthew Skoltz flying the flag, trying to put his Yamaha R1 on the box and make it a Yamaha sweep here at Sonoma Raceway. But Josh Herron has other ideas, now flying the flag for Suzuki.
I feel like Josh has a little pace. I feel like he's got some pace, but he wants to make this pass as clean and as good as he can. So we'll watch kind of when these two guys come out of the carousel. You can see Josh's bike looks like it turns into 3A, 3B pretty good up over the top. I feel like where he probably would have the biggest advantage over Matthew might be exiting the carousel on the run up to turn 7. So that's what we're going to look for.
Yeah, looking at the stability of that bike coming over that hill down into the carousel. On the acceleration.
Here we go. He's close enough now where if he can get to the, he's going to the left. So he's got to kind of be over to the right, it would seem. But Matthew's obviously very fast out of there as well, Greg, out of the carousel. So
Again, the Westby Racing team still new with the electronics package they have available, or the Yoshimura Suzuki of Josh Herron. They've been around a while, so it's, you know, the data that they were able to gather and put together after yesterday's entire race. We'll have to see as the tires start to wear out what the number 11 is going to have, because, you know, it's the on-bike adjustments and the electronics that they have available.
Yep.
All the while, JD Beach, the number 95, hanging around on that Attack Performance Estenson Racing Yamaha.
JD's bike looks pretty solid as well. It's when you see that difference coming out of that corners, you know, that as they head now down into turn 1, JD just kind of looks like he's sitting there. All these guys are high 37s, 37.9, 37.9, and 37.8 for JD Beach.
Yeah, if you're wondering, back up front, Cameron Beaubier and Garrett Gerloff, for the last 2 laps, the lead has been 2 seconds, 2.1. So they're right in that window of 36 seconds apiece. So Garrett hasn't made any inroads on Cameron Beaubier just yet, as we continue to watch this battle for third spot between number 11 Matthew Skoltz, number 2 Josh Herron, and 95 JD Beach. 14 laps remaining in this one, with Jake Gagne in 6th, Cam Peterson in 7th, David Anthony in 8th, Jeremy Coffey in 9th, Max Flinders in 10th, and Sam Bertorico in 11th spot. Listening to the throttle.
Just listen to it.
Beautiful sound of that Yamaha R1 engine.
It's going to short shift it out of here. Nope, keeps it. Yep, there's a short shift up to third. It's going to go back to second now for turn 11. Maybe sound like 2, actually. Nope, that's going to be second out of there, Greg.
Yeah.
Up to third, and he's going to go back to second again for turn 1. And in the meantime, his teammates trimmed it down to 1.8 on that lap. 36.8 to 36.5 for Garrett Gerloff. So Gerloff running with a lot of confidence. You're going to draw a straight line right into turn 2 as you come up over the top of the hill. And that's where Garrett Gerloff is. You can see he's not going to give it to him. I mean, look, this championship is still wide open. There's no reason why Garrett Gerloff can't win the championship. So that's 5 points.
This is exactly what I was thinking in my mind while you were talking about it is, you know, team orders. Is there any?
No,
Does it really matter for the Monster Energy Yamalube Yamaha Factory Racing team? I mean, right now between Cameron Beaubier and Garrett Gerloff, there's only 1 point in the championship for them.
There's no.
So it's kind of leave it to them to start duking it out.
Yep. And, you know, the thing is that Garrett wants to keep Cameron as honest as he can. 13 to go. There is a ton of this race left. So, and right now it's anybody's championship. Tony's kind of gifted these guys a little bit today and made it a little bit more hard on himself. Keeps it good for us, but it makes it a little harder for him. Here comes Josh Herron. Still not quite close enough. Thought about it, though.
Backside of Sonoma Raceway. A newer, I guess probably one of the newest parts of the circuit besides the chicane over the years that we've been here.
Yeah, they've changed that probably 3 or 4 times since I've known it, and I've ridden it a few different ways down there in turn 7. But you know, I don't really see any clear-cut places where Josh. I think there's places where Josh looks a little bit quicker, but they're like in weird spots. So Herron right now still looking for a way around Matthew Skoltz. Matthew doing a good job, and with every lap that Matthew continues to ride, or with every lap that he goes around on this bike, he's going to get a little bit more comfortable on it. Because yesterday's bike looked pretty solid in the race.
It definitely did.
And they made some changes, and we saw early just in the beginning of this race where the thing was moving around quite a bit.
Jason, you've raced here, had a lot of success here at Sonoma Raceway. What's your favorite part of this particular racetrack?
Where they're at. I love the run from turn 1 up to 2. I love the run down here into 3 and 3. I think it's a really neat place when your bike is working good and it comes up over the top of all these little rises and you have grip and the bike's going the direction you want it to go. It's a really fun place, and I really think that there's a bunch of spots here at Sonoma. I always love this place. This little area here, they're going from turn 5 up into the carousel. It's a very unique spot that we don't see anywhere else really, into a big long left. Here's a look at our leaders. 1.5 now. Garrett Gerloff is just chipping away, and this is where, when you're Garrett, you want to just keep on hitting those marks, not making any mistakes, and you know, at 3/10 a lap, he'll be there by the end of the race. He's got time. We're only halfway through.
That's it, the halfway point of this race. Garrett Gerloff is making a charge on his teammate Cameron Beaubier. Only 1.5 seconds separate 1 from 2. More MotoAmerica after this. Welcome back to EBC Brakes Superbikes. There's Wayne Rainey, president of MotoAmerica, three-time 500 Grand Prix champ, enjoying his creation of racing here in the United States. And he should, as the battle for third place starting to spread out ever so slightly. I mean, we're talking maybe 2 or 3 bike lengths, but this is the mid part of the race, Jason,
Correct.
where sometimes people just settle into a rhythm. It's not always 100% charge.
No, it's exactly right. And I think that right now, for these 3 guys, they've just kind of locked in. They know where each other are at. They know where each other's strengths and weaknesses are. It's just a matter of making a plan for this last half of the race. As we saw that halfway flags were a couple laps back now. But it's just a matter of looking at your board. All 3 of these guys are in the hunt for that podium. The thing that concerns me a little bit about JD is acceleration off of a couple of the corners. They gap him enough where it makes it hard for him to make up any time other than braking, but not close enough to break past him. Now, 1.3, Greg, is the gap now between the 2 teammates at the front. 36.8 that last time by the number 1 at Cameron Beaubier. Garrett Gerloff runs 36.5. So we're 1.3 seconds, and he's chipped another 10th away in the first sector of this lap. So the 31 of Garrett Gerloff is trying really hard right now to get to the back tire of his teammate.
Yeah, this is incredible as Cameron Beaubier throws it sideways a little bit. It looks like he's having a lot of fun, does Beaubier, but the pressure from his teammate, just very interesting in this championship because, Jason, mark my words, this guy right here, number 31, Garrett Gerloff, he rolls when we get to Pittsburgh. He loves that track. He was fast in his rookie year last year, and he might be a really difficult rider to beat when we roll into pit race. Battle for third, 11, Matthew Skultz, 2, Josh Herron.
The big gap you're talking about here? Is that the battle for third?
I didn't say big gap. I said it was kind of growing a little bit. It's a
it was
couple of
trying
bike
to.
lengths. I mean, Herron a couple laps ago was really just on the tailpipe of Matthew Skultz.
And you can see, he's in just a, Josh
Little,
looked really good there
yeah.
going in there, but then he had to release the lever just to get the bike to turn. He ran over that curb and on the left there. But he looked, his bike looks pretty stable under braking going in. But there's my concern. See how close JD is? Watch on the exit here. As Matthew ran a little bit wide.
Yeah, it's
See that
just
gap?
for JD. It's just he has to wait one extra moment to get on that gas, and then you see that 1 or 2 bike length gap.
Yep, and that's the gap that makes it hard because you want to try to go past people. Mostly at Sonoma, you're going to go by them on the brakes, and if you're not close enough to them on the exit of some of these corners, it makes it hard to get by them at the end of the straights.
Just taking a close look at Josh Herron's Yoshimura GSX-R 1000 and the stability of it. So he lost a little bit in the chicane, has already gained it right back up. Now the question is, if Josh Herron is feeling this is the moment in the race, this is the time in the race where I want to start making a move, if he feels like he has more pace than Matthew Skultz and can get away from him. The smart thing to do is just, in my view, Jason, is just sit back here and let Skultz lead. But where's he going to attack?
Well, and that's kind of probably a little bit of what he is doing, but I think he's also looking for a good safe spot that he can just literally put it up underneath Matthew and do something with him. So these guys are coming down through the S's. And JD he can just kind of sit there, but he's not close enough down in this area, Greg, that I'm talking about, going down into turn 9. Doesn't look like he can do really anything with those guys there.
JD Beach looking really good on the motorcycle. And it looks like on our timing and scoring screen, Jason, that Garrett Gerloff had another little mistake.
He
and now
did.
the gap has grown to 2.2 seconds.
And it was in there. Oh, Josh Herron gets a little bit in there deep and gets out wide. Gives Matthew a little bit of run, but that will just disintegrate probably by the end of the lap. Herron will close that gap right back up. But yeah, same exact spot for Garrett Gerloff again. That turn 9 area, he's gotten in there twice now, a little bit too deep. And that gap went from 1.3 to 1.5, and now it went to 2.2. So 36.7, minute 36.7 for Beaubier, minute 37.4 that time through for Gerloff. So now he's got all that work to do again. And it's really hard, Greg, as a rider, because you start getting, I don't want to use the word excited, but you start thinking, okay, I'm catching him. I can see it. I'm closing up. And you miss your spot just by a little bit. And look, there's that gap again. Now it's gotten bigger.
Yeah, so Cameron Beaubier he doesn't come under attack directly, but Gerloff just keeps chipping away at it, then he gives it back, chipping away, gives it back again.
But it's the pressure of a guy that can run consistent lap times over and over and over. And Gerloff knows.
Beaubier,
yeah, of Cameron Beaubier. He knows. There we go. Josh Herron slides up underneath Matthew Schultz and gets him out of the way, gives him a little wave. And now we'll see if these two guys can go with this Yoshimura Suzuki. Has a good pass from Josh Herron, but we kind of been waiting for it. I kind of thought that was going to be the spot that he did it. And now we'll see if Herron can put his head down and create a little bit of a gap there back to Matthew and JD Beach. You can see he's gone in tight here. He didn't want to get fired right back on by Matthew Schultz as he went into turn 9.
This would be some redemption for what happened yesterday for his crew if Josh Herron can put this thing on the podium and he could break up that Yamaha dominance.
He gets in there a little bit deep. Yeah, he got a little deep, and Matthew
had really nowhere to go. He had to run that line out, didn't he?
Yep, he certainly did.
So Herron comes across the line. A 138.3, a 39.3 after the pass for Matthew Schultz, and there's the gap you're seeing. JD Beach now on the back wheel. Let's take a look at this pass, Jay.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this. He kind of gets in there, hit Matthew's knee, but they were kind of in. It's just a racing thing there, and you see Josh gives him a little bit of a wave. And,
Josh was committed. I mean,
he was committed to going in there. Yep, no question. But Matthew now is going to try to see if he can get that gap and try to close it back down. Herron's bike actually looked pretty good to me, to be honest. It's like, I know he didn't get to do all the laps that he wanted to do yesterday, but his bike still looks pretty solid underneath him. Now the leaders are into some lap traffic, and you can see Cameron Beaubier goes past Sam Vertorico. Next in line, looks like it'll probably be Jeremy Coffey as they head down towards turn 9. He's not going to be close enough, I don't think, so it's going to be between probably out of this next left. Yep,
Cameron Beaubier has to check up for just a moment. He's going to get by Jeremy Coffey and try to extend his lead over Garrett Gerloff with about 7 laps to go in this one. More MotoAmerica after this. Welcome back to EBC Brakes Superbikes. Out of the final corner to the start-finish line goes Cameron Beaubier, the number 1 plate. The Northern California resident under the sunshine today. He comes across the line. Garrett Gerloff does as well. So that tells us 2.4 seconds, the margin at the moment for Cam Beaubier. Jason, do you think he caught lappers at a good spot?
Yes, he got him at the perfect spot because actually that lap there, Garrett closed up on him that lap, but Garrett has yet to get by the back markers. We're going to see if we look in the background, you can see that, and I don't think those guys caused any big grief for Garrett. I think that it just was a matter of Cameron just kind of got him in the right spot. This is going down into turn 3. And then from here, you're gonna flip it back over to the right, and it's a great spot to go watch. Actually, you can see a lot of things here. You can see lean angle, you can see line, you can hear the throttle and what it's doing with each rider as they come up over the top of this hill. And then from this point here, you can't see the edge of the racetrack on your exit, so you kind of got to trust it, rely it, use the experience over the years of being able to go over that as many times as you can. So here's that battle again for third, and it looks like, let's see, Herron went 38.5. as did Schultz, and JD Beach 38.6. But Herron now has a little gap, doesn't he? It looks like he's trying to create that gap a little bit more, Greg.
Yeah, I think the initial gap obviously was created by the move into this corner a lap ago when Matthew decided to get his knee out there to start tipping it in. Herron was right there, and that was the little contact. And so Herron making the most of that slight gap that was created by that move, and now Schultz is falling into the clutches ever so slightly of JD Beach. But Jason, you could see that JD Beach on the number 95, that machine right there, he's really good on the brakes, but it just doesn't seem like he's got the drive.
Yep. Yeah, and I think he's, and I can't be for sure, because I don't know what the guys are doing on their bikes. But JD's bike is definitely set up a little bit different than the others, just from sounding, just from listening to the bikes when I'm out there watching. So he's got a couple things maybe a little bit different, and I'm not sure how different it is to Matthews or not, but for sure to Cameron in their bikes. Actually to Matthews as well, now I think back to it. So here you go, Cameron Beaubier now, 4.2. That's going to look a lot nicer on the board when he comes around the next lap to see he's got a 4-second lead with, it'll be 4 to go next time by.
I think that was a lap traffic thing.
Yeah, it could be.
I really do. I think that where Garrett ended up catching, it's very one line through turn 1 up to 2 and 3, and I think it's a difficult place to really make a pass. And Garrett Gerloff now 4.2 seconds behind with 4.5 laps to go. He's got to put in some miracle laps if he's got a chance of catching his teammate Cameron Beaubier and extending his race win streak. His podium streak is unbelievable. You know, after the start of the season for Garrett Gerloff with a DNF and a 9th place finish, he then had a third, his first podium of the season, then a 4th place finish, and he hasn't been off the podium since race number 5, which was VIR race number 1.
If you watch that on board, you see even then he was into turn 9 a little bit deep and didn't quite make the flop over back to 9A as easy as he would have liked. I think when you go back and you ask him, he'll probably tell you, yeah, I messed up turn 9 a few times, and that was really the cost, and then a little bit of traffic as well. But it was the gap at the beginning that he just wasn't able to close up, even though he was showing he could. This is up the hill from turn 1 to turn 2.
You can hear under acceleration, the traction control working, a little rear tire spin.
And look at his head. So if you're home watching that and you're looking at his head, his helmet and his eyes are always that far down the road that even though the bike hasn't made that transition all the way back over to the right, the eyes are already looking at the direction you need to go. So it's up over the top of the carousel.
Up over that hill is blind, and when you're first here, it's a little bit spooky.
It is, because you do it with a lot of speed going up over the top. So when you're going up over the top of the hill, you're doing it with a fair bit of pace, and the bike gets extremely light coming up over there. And really, from when you go up the hill to turn 2 to the exit of the carousel, they've made safety changes, but the layout of the track has stayed the same throughout the test of time. I mean, since I remember my dad racing Superbike races here, that's always been the same. This is a spot where we see Jake Gagne right now, running 6 right this moment. This is going, again, through turn 5, up over the top of that carousel.
Yeah, and Jay, what I mentioned before is that oftentimes with Jake Gagne, the physical condition he's in, he is getting better, but a 5th place yesterday, kind of a lonely ride. And so the question is, where does his team work on this? So feedback from Jake. So it was a lot of data, looking at the data last night, trying to figure it out and making improvements. But the Scheibe Racing BMW S1000RR, Jake Gagne, he is back and he is getting more fit as time goes on. Like I said, yesterday's broadcast, he spent the last 3 weeks before we got here surfing on the mountain bike, just recovering, enjoying life, and getting his head right to come back racing. It's great to have him back in the United States as we set this last bit of race action as we're here at Sonoma. Then we get a week off, then pit race, then a week off, then New Jersey, then a week off, and then the finale at Barber. And we expect to see this rider and this team continue to up their pace at each race we go to.
Yeah, and I'd love to see Jake Gagne kind of get back to a spot where he can start being up in that top 5 a little bit closer, and these guys this year have been working on that.
Cameron Beaubier, a 38 flat last time by, now extends his lead over Garrett Gerloff to 5.3 seconds. Right part of your screen, you can see the race pace as we listen to Cameron Beaubier. You're listening to the #1 plate, the national champion on a factory Yamaha, Monster Energy Yamalube Yamaha factory racing machine. Listening to how he works the controls of his motorcycle. Beaubier with the fastest lap of this race, a 135.695 all the way back on lap 1. Oh, lap traffic is the battle for 4th place. Skoltz 11, 95 JD Beach.
Yep, Josh Herron's cleared these guys now. He's out to, well, he went 38.2 the last time by, pulled out almost a full second on this next group. So,
number 42 is Jeremy Coffey on a BMW as well. So Coffey with his line in his race on the Superbike Underground entry. He'll get out of the way and let these riders continue on. You saw a little bit of puff of dirt. That happens in turn 1.
Yeah, it does, especially on the exit just over the curbing. If you can get out there a little bit wide and you touch it. So, but that time by 38.1 for Josh Herron, 40.1. So he gained 2 seconds on those guys that lap. So that's going to solidify right now a solid podium for Herron after his no finish yesterday.
2.22 mile road course here at Sonoma Raceway. Cameron Beaubier, Jason, with his 135.695, that fastest lap of the race. Give you a little perspective. When he did that, he averaged around this race circuit 83.5 miles per hour. Not the fastest average we see at some of the racetracks, but think about how much you're on the binders on the brakes and how much you're accelerating up and down hills. A lot of second gear at Sonoma Raceway on Superbikes. A tremendous amount of second gear. And to average 83.5 miles an hour around here is pretty crazy.
Yeah, pretty fast. I mean, really fast, actually. So you should see the white flag on the left-hand side of your screen as you come from this particular shot. You can see up there, this is going to be his final lap. Garrett Gerloff shaking his head. Not sure why, didn't see it, but maybe ran a little bit wide. Maybe got a little out of the seat. Maybe he couldn't find a gear. Not sure what the reason is, but he was shaking his head. Up over there, he goes up over turn 1 curbing. But this guy here, he did what he wanted to do all weekend today.
He did it today, and that was the big deal. He wanted to come in here, did Cameron Beaubier, and dominate this weekend like he has in the last 2 years. MotoAmerica's 3rd trip to Sonoma Raceway, and Cameron Beaubier, if he can get to the checkered flag on this lap, will have won 5 of the 6 races. It looked like certain disaster yesterday for Cameron Beaubier and his bid to hold on to the #1 plate until next season. And then early on in this race, Tony Elias on the Yoshimura Suzuki, your championship points leader and 2017 champ, has made it a little easier.
He actually gains 5 points on the weekend, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the big deal.
It's a big deal, you know.
So the net of this weekend for Cameron Beaubier, if he can take it to the checkered flag and win this thing, will be 5 points on Tony Elias. So, and that's mainly because when he got out of the race yesterday, did Cameron Beaubier, Tony Elias only finished, I say only, but he finished 2nd. So that was a 20-point haul. And this is going to be a 25-point.
Yeah, it's so rare to see Tony make mistakes, especially early in a race. Like, I can't remember the last time I saw Tony make a little mistake in the beginning of a race like that, but it happens. It's racing. It's just when it looks like everybody's got it on their side and there's nothing going to happen, it can happen, and this guy's going to get it today.
Here comes Cameron Beaubier, wheel in the air. The Northern Californian, the local rider, wraps up a win here in race number 2 in the EBC Brakes Superbike class. His teammate Garrett Gerloff coming to the line in 2nd spot, and Josh Herron flying the flag for Suzuki plays his race in a perfect way after missing out yesterday. Will stand on the podium here in Northern California. And then Matthew Skultz, a solid top 5 finish for him after an up-and-down weekend. And J.D. Beach in 5th spot on the Attack Performance Estenson Racing Yamaha. So good results all around. And Josh Herron preventing Yamaha sweep today. Cameron Beaubier, so happy about that win. That went perfectly for Cameron Beaubier, constantly putting pressure on the rest of the field from the front, controlling the pace, and doing what Cameron Beaubier loves to do. So 5 out of 6 wins here at Sonoma Raceway for Cameron Beaubier. And really our talking points, Jay, besides this win, is just the exit of Tony Elias and now what the points are going to look like.
Yeah, and you think about it, Garrett Gerloff gets 45 points at this race. Tony got 20. And it really shoots Garrett Gerloff back up into this, up into at least feeling like he has a chance, because he gained points on his teammate this weekend. He gained points on Tony this weekend. So it's a 2nd place today for Garrett Gerloff, but a tremendous effort from him and his team again. And he's still in there with a shout.
And no dramas really this weekend.
No,
for
really
Garrett
good,
Gerloff.
really solid weekend.
So the Texan, Garrett Gerloff, comes to win and 2nd place. A little handshake from Josh Herron. So Herron, in his 1-year contract with Yoshimura Suzuki, has already notched 2 wins. And Jason, this is Josh Herron's, by the way, first,
I knew you were going to say it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to. It's his first podium appearance this season that he hasn't won.
Yeah.
So he's got 3 total.
3 total. Finishes 3rd today.
Yep.
But that's going to be okay. That's good. It's he gets a result, and that's what he wants to do, and he wants to get it on the podium for his team after yesterday, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And that's where he's going to find himself.
So looking down through the field, we have Beaubier, Gerloff, Herron, Skultz in 4th, Beach in 5th, Jake Gagne, a solid result in 6th. Cam Peterson, outstanding for Cam Peterson. We get to talk about him and the Omega Moto. That crew has had it's work cut out for him this weekend. Not a lot of laps, a lot of little things going wrong with the bike. I think a great solid result for Cam Peterson and Omega Moto on that one. David Anthony, after his up and down weekend, 8th place. Jeremy Coffey in 9th. Another one, had to put his bike back together, got out there. Sam Bertarico coming off of his best EBC Brakes Superbike finish yesterday in 10th place. And Jake Lewis was able to finish on the M4 X-Star Suzuki in 11th. That was heartbreak for Jake Lewis exiting early. He was in 4th place in a good spot. I would have loved to have been able to see Jake Lewis race it up.
All the way to the end. He would have probably been in that battle that would eventually go down to the wire for 3rd. So
Kyle Wyman finishes in 12th spot, and then unfortunately Max Flinders and Tony Elias didn't finish this race. But it'll be a very happy Josh Herron with his results. And here comes Cameron Beaubier having a little bit of fun with his Yamaha R1 and the rear Dunlop tire. Jake Gagne congratulates him. And there's Cam Peterson.
Yeah, you're right about Cam Peterson. He's actually put pretty good year in for those Omega guys because he's been able to finish a lot of races. And like you said, there's been some challenges there for sure. But, yeah, good. Cam's been riding really well.
So Cam Beaubier. Yeah, you're talking about Cam Peterson. Cam Beaubier.
Get the cams mixed up.
Yeah. Making his way to winner's circle. Making sure that he gets all the congratulations. A lot of family, a lot of friends here. There he comes in a winner's circle. Congratulations all around for him. What a great dominating performance. In the record books, it'll go down as 5.2 seconds over Garrett Gerloff, who definitely had a race, Jason. That was up and down. Can't wait to hear what Cam Beaubier, Garrett Gerloff, and Josh Herron have to say. That'll be coming up after this. Welcome back to EBC Brakes Superbikes. Hey, listen, Garrett Gerloff said it's a Cameron Beaubier track, and Hannah, I think he's right.
Your teammate did just say this is a Cameron Beaubier track. After yesterday's unfortunate race, you made up some much-needed points in the charge for the championship. How are you able to kind of put the events of yesterday behind you and really focus?
Yeah, it was a tough race. I really wanted to come back today and rebound well. You know, I just feel like, yeah, I mean, Garrett kept the pressure on me the entire race, and for a little bit I thought it was Tony, and then I glanced up at the board with 7 laps in or something like that, and I was like, oh man, like Garrett's putting the pressure on, and hats off to him. He's been riding so good lately. He got tremendous speed, and I feel like it's really good for me too, because we just push each other at the tests and heavy practice sessions. So yeah, that was a tough race. I'm really glad that I was able to wrap it up today. And yeah, I just feel like we've been in a little rut lately, and it just feels, you have no idea how good it feels to get a win, especially in front of my hometown crowd. And yeah, it just feels great. So big thanks to Bell, Alpine Stars, and Amanda Buff for keeping me safe. My amazing team, Monster Energy, Yamalube, Yamaha, they're the last team here fixing my bike after yesterday. So yeah, big thanks to them.
Congrats, Cam. Thank you.
4 hours it took them to put that bike together, Jason, and they were rewarded for the race 2 win. Cameron Beaubier putting it down, and Jason, let me tell you something. Having a good teammate pushing you can be the thing that wins him this championship. Well, EBC Brakes Superbike racing at MotoAmerica is like this. It's a big margin, then it's a smaller margin. Jason, Cameron Beaubier, 34. Garrett Gerloff, 40 behind Tony Elias with 6 races to go in this championship, 150 points, anything could happen. Now, Jay, great race action from Sonoma Raceway. We appreciate you joining us. For Jason Pridmore, Hannah Lope, I'm Greg White. Thank you so much for checking out EBC Brakes Superbike Racing from Sonoma Raceway.